Hey everyone, welcome back to Nugs with Nay. I'm Nasa, and today's episode is going to be covering cannabis in the sports industry. Now, when I say that to mean I'm going to be discussing the different sports leagues that we have here in the US, so the NFL, NHL, NBA, and MLB, the four major sports leagues we have in the USA, in relation to the usage of cannabis. So as I've mentioned in my videos before, cannabis is an anti-inflammatory. It naturally grows that way. It is the wonder plant. It can heal you from the inside out. It has a trickle-down effect when it connects with your endocannabinoid receptors, which we are born with in our body as humans. And when cannabis connects with those receptors, we just feel good. Physically, mentally, emotionally, whether it be CBD or THC, we're feeling good. And now, why should these professional athletes who put their bodies through so much, almost year round, if not year round, be denied this plant, this medication? So let's get into it. So when it comes to public support for the legalization of marijuana, it's at an all-time high right now, right? And with that, we can see the small progress happening in these professional sports leagues when it comes to the usage of cannabis and its players. So we see more and more athletes using cannabis to treat pain in the US, before, after workouts, even in their retirement. A lot of former athletes are coming forward saying that even in their retirement, they're using cannabis because they put their bodies through so much while they were in the league. Now that they're out, they're trying to recuperate, recover, and maintain that sense of well-being and wellness, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, So as we're seeing the progression happen on, a societal level, within the sports leagues, it's also starting to kind of pick up the pace and, slowly navigate its way into full acceptance. Now, when I say that, I say slowly because we have, the NHL, the National Hockey League, NFL, and MLB, and then the NBA. And the NBA is kind of the one that's, a little bit further behind when it comes to, taking cannabis off of its banned substance abuse list. But we're gonna get into that. So let me go ahead and start, breaking this down for you guys. As I mentioned before, cannabis is recreationally legal in 11 states and the District of Columbia. Recreationally legal, decriminalized. And then in 33 states, it is medically legal. So you have your medical card, you can use it, right? 11 states and the District of Columbia, recreationally legal or decriminalized. And then we have the 33 states where it's medically legal. Now, 101 out of the 123 athletic teams in the US within those organizations that I previously named, that's roughly 82% or so, reside in a state where marijuana is recreationally legal or medically legal. So 101 out of the 123 teams in the leagues that I just previously named, that's roughly 82% and some change, reside in a state where cannabis is medically legal or recreationally legal or decriminalized. So that's the majority are residing in these states, right? Now, with that said, only 22 teams are located in a state where cannabis is still illegal. And 8 of those 22 teams are solely in Texas. Now I'm about to, list off the states and the teams that reside in those, which cannabis is illegal in. Does that make sense? Here we go. So in Texas, we have the Astros, the Mavericks, the Cowboys, the Stars, the Rangers, the Rockets, the Spurs, and the Texans. Those are all in Texas. Now, if we move to North Carolina, we have the Hornets, the Hurricanes, and the Panthers. In Tennessee, we have the Grizzlies, the Titans, and the Predators. In Georgia, we have the Falcons, the Hawks, and the Braves. In Indiana, we have the Colts and the Pacers. And then Wisconsin, we have the Brewers, the Bucks, and the Packers. So all of those teams are within a state where cannabis is still illegal, okay? Now, when it comes to league policies, let's start with the National Hockey League. So the NHL does still test for cannabis and THC among its athletes. However, there are no consequences for a test coming back positive. So that goes to say, if an athlete has abnormally high levels of THC in their system, it's gonna be looked at as like a healthcare issue, the same way that alcoholism would be looked at. So they might, have a doctor or somebody talk to them, and move forward from there. But there are no, they're not gonna get kicked off the team, they're not gonna get fined or anything of that nature. It's just gonna be looked at as an overall healthcare issue. So now let's go into Major League Baseball. So the MLB has recently removed marijuana from its banned substances list. And with that said, that means that the Major League Baseball as a whole treats cannabis usage the same way that they treat alcohol. So it's looked at the same. If you went out for a beer the night before, you could have went out and smoked a J the night before. They're definitely probably the most progressive out of the 4 leagues that I'm going to be talking about today, just because they don't have any consequences. It's treated the same as alcohol. This was a very recent decision. However, players do remain, to hold themselves accountable for possessing or using cannabis, meaning that they cannot show up to the ballpark under the influence. It's their job. And like any job, you're not going to show up to practices or games under the influence. You're not going to show up to your job under the influence, period. So what you do in the off season, outside of your job, is what you do. But they cannot help you when it comes to possession. You cannot come to your job high, period. That makes sense though, right? So the NFL. Now, the NFL is having players vote on a proposed CBA, and these players are going to try and vote in favor of reducing the drug testing window from 4 months, so they can be tested anytime within 4 months, to 2 weeks. So it's kind of giving them a little bit more notice, and reducing that window by a drastic amount, I think, is incredible. Now, with that said, they are also going to be voting on raising the threshold for positive tests. So instead of looking for 35 nanograms of THC, they're only going to be looking for 150. So you kind of have a little bit more leeway when it comes to your consumption in the NFL. And they are also eliminating suspension for positive tests. So this is great. This is great news, especially in the NFL where, it's a contact sport. Their bodies are taking a beating almost every day, year round. So, they deserve to have access to this medication that can help them recover from, their job. They use their body. These athletes are using their bodies every single time that they're working. You know what I mean? A lot of us have the luxury, majority of us have the luxury of not having to, have our bodies take a toll. So when in the NFL, overall, what they're trying to do is, instead of punishment, they're gonna, look at it kind of like MLB or NHL from a clinical health standpoint. They're gonna, address the situation if it gets out of hand on, a medical level, like with a healthcare provider. So the NBA, they are, the last ones kind of making any sort of progress on this cannabis front. I hope that they kind of look at the other leagues and take note and move in a similar direction. But when it comes to the NBA, marijuana remains on its list of banned substances. So NBA players are not supposed to be smoking or consuming THC or cannabis at all. And right now, players are subject to 4 random tests throughout the regular season. And if they do test positive for THC or cannabis, the first offense, it's going to be, first positive test is going to be, entering a drug rehabilitation program. The second offense is going to be a fine of like $25,000. The third time is like a 5-game suspension, and then the fourth time is a 10-game suspension. So they have it on lock still. It will be interesting to see the progress that is made in the upcoming years and even this next year. Hopefully they can kind of move forward and fall in line with the NHL, MLB, and NFL. Like I was saying, cannabis grows naturally as an anti-inflammatory. As humans, we are born with endocannabinoid receptors in our body. Why would we make it, not frowned upon, legal, give athletes access to these man-made drugs, chemicals that are made and constructed in a lab, and it's okay for them to put those in their body? But when we have something natural, something that, connects with receptors in our body that can help these athletes perform better, recover, rehabilitate, keep their mind clear, focused, relaxed, and overall contribute to their mental health and wellness and physical wellness as well. I think it would be amazing to, as this progresses, to see some sort of athletic programs or gyms or training centers that incorporate cannabis into their regimen. Most likely that would be a CBD scenario, but even, having people or trainers who are knowledgeable about the cannabis industry, about the benefits and effects that THC or CBD can have on an athlete physically. I think that would be amazing to see. So I hope you guys learned a little bit about your favorite leagues and where they are when it comes to cannabis usage among their athletes. We still have a lot of work to do, but some progress is better than no progress. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram @NugsWithNay, 2 G's, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.